Hey guys, what's up? My name is Jerden Conde and we are back. You're watching Tito Fit, and today we've got a new shoe for you guys. So I'm gonna give you my opinion on this shoe, whether you should buy it or whether you should just skip it. I've done a total of 3 runs on this shoe, so you know, it's not much, but it's got a little bit of mileage, so I now know what this shoe is actually good for. Today we've got the Adidas Hyperboost Edge, and man, Boost is back, and dare I say, better than ever. So the Hyperboost Edge is a max cushion super trainer. You have a lot of foam here, and like I said, it does use the new Hyperboost Pro foam by Adidas. This is a beaded PIBA-based foam, and it's really light and dense at the same time. So if you try to, it's not even gonna bend. See that? It's really rigid. I've done a few runs on it. So we're gonna go through some specs about this shoe. First, I'm gonna go with the weight. The weight of this shoe is 255 grams. Let me contrast that with something like the Evo SL is about 235 grams. And this is just about 20 grams over that. So it's still light. It's not gonna be setting any world records on the marathon stage soon, but very light max cushion thing. So just to give you a little bit of comparison, I used to wear other max cushion trainers from other brands, and those shoes would go closer to the 300 gram mark. So I can definitely feel how light this is compared to those other brands that I've used in the past. Now the outsole is made of this new grippy material that Adidas calls light traction. They're not using the Continental rubber outsole on this one, and at the bottom of the shoe you can see that the stack height is shown. So there's 45 millimeter stack height on the heel and then a 39 millimeter stack height towards the toes, which gives it a 6 millimeter drop total. That's a very approachable drop. You know, it's not too aggressive on the geometry. If you're new to running, you know, it's not gonna feel like you're being propelled forward. So it's I would say it's a very approachable shoe for anyone, whether you've been running for years or if this is gonna be your first super trainer. Now let's talk about this upper. The upper is made of a material called prime weave. I'm gonna admit that when I first saw this shoe in the pictures, I thought it reminded me of some older Adidas models. Specifically, it reminded me of the T-Max, which were for basketball. It did remind me of that. But in person, I have to say, the upper looks and feels a lot lighter than an actual basketball shoe. It's definitely lighter. Although it does have some rigidity to it, it's made up of a prime weave mesh. So there's a lot of mesh areas here on the upper to just make sure that it's breathable, especially on the tongue. The tongue is actually made of mesh. The tongue is gusseted, so it's not gonna move around. That's very good. And then it's padded. There's a bit of foam here to make it more comfortable. So I like that part. You know, even the tongue reminds me of a basketball jersey. Now, what really stood out to me here is the heel. There's 2 foam pads towards the heel counter, and when I was running during my longer run where I used this, it was very comfortable. It was very comfortable. Now, I did mention that the midsole is very bouncy, but with all the padding on it, it makes your feet feel really secure. So as long as you don't get the wrong size or have something that's too wide or too big for your feet, this is gonna feel very comfortable on your long runs. So even if it is much bouncier than the usual max cushion trainer. This shoe retails for $200 US in countries where US dollars are being used. Out here in the Philippines, it's 13,000 pesos. You can buy this from Adidas stores, Rev Philippines. So some disclosure on it, I was sent this shoe for free, although I wasn't, you know, paid to make any false claims about the shoe. So I'm being 100% honest about this shoe. I'm telling you what's good, and I'm gonna be telling you what I don't like about it later on. Let's get to the verdict. This is a very stable shoe. You can see the base at the back of how wide it is. So it's a very stable shoe. On the other hand, it's very bouncy. It's just enough bounce to make your long runs fun. So the thing about long runs, I noticed for me personally, towards the latter part of the long runs, when I'm wearing shoes that are too plush, too cushioned, too soft. I feel like they flatten out towards the end. You're not gonna feel that with this shoe. It gives you just enough bounce to remind you to, hey, pick up the pace a bit, you know? So there is that feeling. And if I was to compare it to Light Strike Pro, which is used by the Adios Pro 4, another shoe which I do have, which is my race shoe, which I also really like, this would be very, very different in the sense that there are no plates for this, so there's nothing actually to artificially propel you except for that bouncy midsole, the Hyperboost Pro. And it might be different depending on your taste. You may prefer something a little bit more plush, but personally, I like this that's more cushioned for long runs. My long, slow distance runs, or LSD for Sunday, this is gonna be a staple in my runs from now on. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like the shoe? Does the design do it for you? Like I said, it reminds me of those early 2000s basketball shoes, or, you know, do you love it? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you've gotten this far, please make sure to subscribe to our channel to see our future videos. And again, you're watching Tito Fit, and thanks for watching.